Hold on a second. I'm about to tell you something that's going to stick with you until the end of this video. I've watched this game play out for years, both in the stock market and in real life. So take note of what I'm about to say, because I'm saving something special for the very end. Be patient. Last week at the airport, the guy sitting next to me wouldn't stop talking about his BMW. But his hands were shaking when he tried to pay with his card. That's exactly the type I'm about to describe. Right now, those beautiful cars you see outside, those designer bags, those luxury lifestyles on Instagram, most of it is a lie. And a very expensive one at that. Here's the truth. Americans collectively carry $1.28 trillion in credit card debt.
The average household lives with over $100,000 in debt. Yet the parking lots are still full of luxury cars, and the malls are still overflowing with designer shopping bags. So let me tell you the hardest truth I've learned from dealing with the market, with trading, with real money. Real wealth whispers. Fake wealth screams.
By the end of this video, you'll recognize the fake rich around you. And you'll ask yourself, which of these traps am I falling into? Ready? Let's start. The first sign is the entry-level luxury trap. People buy the cheapest model of the most expensive brand. The base BMW, the logo Gucci belt, the entry-level Louis Vuitton bag. The goal isn't a car that fits the budget. The goal is the brand. Yet for the same money, you could buy a fully loaded Honda that's more comfortable and cheaper to maintain. But people don't want the Honda. They want those luxury cars. And on top of that, that cheap luxury car comes back to bite you. Premium fuel instead of regular, higher insurance, and more expensive parts. I've seen this in the market. People spend 20 to 30% of what they earn just to look good. Truly wealthy people buy things that fit their budget and don't stretch themselves. That gap turns into hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years. Money that never gets invested. Genuinely wealthy people usually buy those luxury items after they've built their wealth. The fake rich buy the luxury symbol first and hope wealth follows, but it never does. The second sign is talking about money nonstop. Every topic somehow circles back to income, investments, or a deal that's about to close. Even talking about pizza turns into, I used to eat this before I started making real money. Notice they always speak in future tense, because the present isn't enough for them. Once this deal closes, once this investment goes up, that kind of thing. Nothing is real until the money actually lands in the account. I see this in the market every day. People who talk about gains on paper, but they never actually close the position. They also confuse revenue with profit. My business does $500,000, they say, but what actually lands in their pocket is $50,000. Still decent money, but not the story they're telling. Genuinely wealthy people don't talk about money because they don't owe anyone proof. The third sign, and this one's genuinely dangerous, is carrying a bag that costs more than what's in your bank account. Someone with $2,000 in savings carrying a $5,000 bag. Someone with a maxed out credit card wearing a luxury watch. This isn't a celebration of success. It's a costume for a success that hasn't arrived yet. There's an old rule. If you can't afford to buy it twice, you can't actually afford it. If a single purchase equals 2 or 3 months of your income, that's not wealth. That's risking your future to create the appearance of wealth in the present. That bag impresses strangers for 3 seconds, but an empty account stresses you out for years. The fourth sign is constantly trying to one-up you. Whatever you do, they've done better. You say you bought a house, and they say, when I bought my first house, I made sure it had at least 4 bedrooms, because small houses don't appreciate, they add. You mention landing a new client, and they immediately bring up the bigger client they landed last quarter, and the commission they got from it. Your joy gets sacrificed to their need. And this comes from insecurity. Someone who's genuinely successful doesn't see your success as a threat. In fact, they're happy for you. That's because they don't measure their own worth against your success. The fifth sign is social media performance, sharing every luxury experience, every expensive purchase. If the money is real, you don't need to prove anything to social media. But for the fake rich, wealth only exists once it gets likes and comments. Here's something else to know. A $1,000 shopping spree video gets far more views than a savings video. That teaches people the wrong lesson. Showing off gets more attention than discipline does. Yet genuinely wealthy people are usually quiet on social media. They don't need to prove anything to anyone. The sixth sign is constantly leasing cars. When you lease a car, you're paying for the years it depreciates the fastest. Then you give it back and start over from zero. This cycle never ends. Someone who leases and returns for 20 years has paid hundreds of thousands of dollars and ends up owning nothing. As an investor, let me tell you this. Every expense that builds zero assets is actually a move in the opposite direction of wealth.
The seventh sign is counterfeit goods. If someone carries a fake brand, they're advertising something they're not. Even a decent fake bag costs $200, $300. For that same money, you could buy a real, quality, unbranded bag. But the fake rich don't want quality. They want the logo. And that gets them neither status nor quality, just an empty display. The eighth sign is constantly talking about get-rich-quick opportunities. Forex, drop shipping, crypto day trading, multi-level marketing, anything that says don't miss this opportunity. I've seen this in the market for years. The vast majority of these people lose money. But they always talk in future tense because the current results aren't good. 6 months later, that venture will have cost them money, but they never mention it. They immediately jump to the next guaranteed opportunity. Real wealth is a slow, boring process that takes years. But boring never fits the fake rich image. The ninth sign is condescending money advice. You're happy with your apartment, and they say, you should have upgraded by now, given your income. You're saving aggressively, and they say, you should put your money where I put mine. This advice is always unsolicited, and it always points back to their own choices. That's because they're really trying to justify their own decisions. Your success through a different path threatens their story. The 10th and final sign is simply overdoing everything. Too many logos, too much cologne. It's becoming a walking billboard for luxury brands. But look at photos of actual billionaires on an ordinary day. None of them are trying to draw attention to themselves. That's because they have nothing left to prove. Real wealth doesn't talk, it doesn't show off either. It just grows quietly. Now let me tell you the thing I promised you at the start, because did you notice? All 10 of these signs share one common root. The fake rich filter every decision through, how does this look to others? The genuinely wealthy ask, how does this serve me and my goals? One path slowly makes you rich. The other quietly drives you into bankruptcy. Let me tell you the most valuable lesson I've learned from the market, from trading. Money isn't saved for show. It's saved for freedom. So ask yourself today, am I actually investing in my future, or am I feeding an image that's slowly sinking me? Because your goal shouldn't be to look rich. It should be to actually be rich. One path is expensive, exhausting, and leads nowhere. The other grows quietly until one day you actually have what everyone around you only dreams of. So choose. Which side will you be on?